Hello friends, welcome to Dnyanadeep Academy's online platform. Today we are going to discuss few PYQs from Polity in our civil services exam. Okay, so let's get started. So the first question is, with reference to India, consider the following statements. There is only one citizenship and one domicile. One citizenship and one domicile. Is it true? Yes, we have only one citizenship in India. Unlike USA, in India, there is no separate citizenship for states. That means for the entire country, there is a single citizenship. So this part is true. Again, they are asking that whether India has a single domicile. Domicile means a place to live. So if you are staying in one part of the country, then you will get a certificate, domicile certificate, and there will be a single domicile certificate for a person throughout the country. That means if you are from Delhi and if you are staying in Pune, even though you are staying in Pune, you will get only one domicile certificate, that is of Pune. So this statement is true, that there is only one citizenship and one domicile. Second statement is that a citizen by birth only can become the head of the state. Now there are two things to keep in mind here. What do you mean by head of the state? We have two heads in our country. One is head of the state and another is head of the government. When we talk about head of the state, we usually talk about the president. Now the statement is asking whether a citizen by birth only can become the president. If you have studied very well, then you will notice or you will realize that even a naturalized citizen, not just by the birth, but a naturalized citizen can also become the president. For example, if Sonia Gandhi is from Italy and she has become the citizen of India by naturalization, that means naturalization citizen can also become the president. So this statement is wrong. Okay, second statement is wrong. Now come to the third statement. A foreigner once granted the citizenship cannot be deprived of it under any circumstances. That means if the citizenship is once granted, can it be revoked? Yes, it can be revoked. So this statement is wrong. Now you might be wondering, in which situation the citizenship can be revoked? There are multiple situations given in our textbooks. If you study M. Lakshmikant closely, and if you remember, you can recall that if the citizenship is acquired by fraud, if the citizen after getting the citizenship conspires with the enemy against India, it will lead to the revocation of citizenship. If a citizen after acquiring our citizenship is sent to jail for 2 years in the foreign country, it will also lead to the revocation of the citizenship from that person. So these are all situations. There are many situations. We are not going to discuss all the situations, but you can realize that this statement is wrong. Okay, so what is the correct option then? Then option A is the correct choice. Okay, so let's move ahead. Second question. Which of the following authorities makes recommendation to the what they are asking is, which authority makes the recommendation to the government, to the governor of a state as the principles for determining the taxes and duties which may be appropriated by the panchayats? So which authority decides the proceeds to be shared with the panchayats? So it is the Finance Commission. It is the Finance Commission. There are two main functions of Finance Commission. Finance Commission is mentioned in Article 280. Article 280 mentions that there are two functions of State Commission or State Finance Commission and Finance Commission. Now first is to analyze the finances of state government. Okay, finances of state government, and then second function is that determine the principles on which the net proceeds of the state government has to be shared between the state government and the local bodies, including panchayats. So local bodies. So this is the question that has been asked: which of the following authorities makes the recommendation on the taxes and duties which may be appropriated? That means what are all the net proceeds that can be shared, or the share of the local bodies in the net proceeds. That is, a recommendation is made by the State Finance Commission. And one more thing that has to be remembered is that this recommendation is not binding upon the government. Okay, so the correct answer here is State Finance Commission makes the recommendation as to how much proceeds have to be shared with the panchayats in the particular state. Okay, the option is B. Now the third question, consider the following statements. Okay, the first statement is the President of India can summon a session of the Parliament at such a place as he thinks fit. He can summon a session at a place. So this is the correct answer. So there is no confusing part here. This is straight away copied from the textbook, that the President decides the place at which he can summon a session of the Parliament. The second statement says the Constitution of India provides for 3 sessions of the Parliament in a year, but it is not mandatory to conduct the 3 sessions. Okay, the Constitution explicitly mentions that it is mandatory for only 2 sessions to be held, and they cannot be held apart 6 months. So this statement is wrong, because only the provision of 2 sessions is given in the Constitution. That means the second statement is wrong. Then third is, there is no minimum number of days. No minimum number of days of that the Parliament is required to meet in a year. Our Parliament doesn't have any calendar, and it doesn't have any number or minimum number specified wherein the Parliament is required to meet in a year. So this statement is also right. Okay, this statement is also right. That means 1 and 3 is our correct answer. Okay, I hope there is no confusion here, because the statements are directly lifted from the textbook and there is no distortion. Only in this second statement the 2 sessions has been replaced with the 3 sessions. So it was the question on the easier side. Now the fourth question, with reference to the Legislative Assembly of a state in India, consider the following statements. They are asking about the Legislative Assembly of a state. Now the first statement is the Governor makes a customary address to members of the House at the commencement of the first session of the year. This statement is right, because Governor makes address twice. That means first is when the general elections are held, and the session is the first one for the government or for the assembly. Then the session is held, and he also addresses the first session of the year. So there are 2 cases. So this first statement is right. Now the second statement. The second statement says, when a state legislature does not have a rule on a particular matter, it follows. If it does not have a rule on a particular matter, it follows the Lok Sabha rule on that matter. It might be true, or it might be true by the convention, but nowhere in the Constitution it has been mentioned that the state legislature should follow the Lok Sabha rule. So this statement is wrong. Okay, the second statement is wrong, and that is why our answer will be C, option C, with only one option correct, only one statement correct. Okay, then let's move on. I think this was the easiest question, I think. Question number 5. With reference to the election of the President of India, consider the following statements. Okay, election of President. Election of the President. Now the first statement is the value of the vote of each MLA. Value of the vote of each MLA varies from state to state. Friends, you might be aware that in the president's election, all the elected members of the parliament, including Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and the elected members of the legislative assembly take part in the election of the president. But do note that the value of each MLA will differ, because value of each MLA will depend on the population of the state. That is why this statement is right, because the value will differ based on the population of the state. That is why the first statement is right. Now the second statement says the value of the vote of MPs of the Lok Sabha is more than the value of the vote of the MPs of the Rajya Sabha. Is it true? No, it's not, because the both values are equal. That is why this statement is wrong, and we come to the conclusion that only option A or only statement 1 is right. That is why answer A is right. Okay. Now, sixth question. Consider the following statements. First statement: no criminal proceedings shall be instituted against the governor of a state in any court during his term of office. So this is right, because when the governor is in the office, he cannot be arrested, or no criminal proceedings can be instituted against him. But if it is a civil proceeding, then it can be instituted. So this statement is about criminal proceedings, so it is right. No criminal proceedings can be instituted. Second statement is asking about the emoluments and allowances of the governor. Allowances of the governor of the state shall not be diminished during his term of office. Yes, it's true, because if he has to function in a free and fair manner, then his emoluments and allowances cannot be reduced. That is why both statements are right, and our correct answer is option C. That is, both 1 and 2 statements are right. Okay friends, sixth question, option C is right. Now question 7, consider the following statements. The chief secretary, what they are asking about is the chief secretary. They generally don't ask about the chief secretary, but this is very unique question in that they are asking about the chief secretary in a state is appointed by the governor of that state. Is it true? Chief secretary is a permanent executive. He is the topmost administrator of the executive of the state, but he is not appointed by the governor. He is appointed by the chief minister by executive order. He is appointed by the chief minister, not by the governor. That is why this statement is wrong. Now statement 2 says the chief secretary in a state has a fixed tenure. Now we have just talked about how chief secretary is a permanent executive and he is the top administrator of the executive branch of the state, but he has no fixed tenure because he can be removed. He can be removed by the chief minister. That is why he doesn't have a fixed tenure. Generally these are IS officers, very senior IS officers, and they can be removed by the chief minister at any time. That is why this statement is also wrong one. And based on these two statements, we come to the conclusion that option D is correct. Neither 1 nor 2 statement is right. So question number 7, option D is correct. Okay friends, let's move on. Question number 8, consider the following statements. The legislative council of a state in India can be larger in size than half of the legislative assembly of that particular state. Is it true? No, it's not, because you might be aware that legislative council strength has to be less than the 1/3 of the strength of the legislative assembly. So this we have to keep in mind. Now what they are asking is it can be larger in size than half of the legislative assembly, which is absolutely wrong. That is why this statement is wrong. It cannot be more than 1/3 of the strength of the legislative assembly. Why? because legislative council is considered as an inferior part of the state legislature and it has less powers. That is why its strength has been kept to the minimum. Okay. Now the statement number 2. The governor of a state nominates the chairman of legislative council of that particular state. Is it true? No, it's not, because governor doesn't have a role in nominating the chairman, because chairman is elected from the legislative council by the members from amongst themselves. That is why the chairman of the legislative council is not nominated by the governor, it is elected from the members of the legislative council. That is why both statements are wrong. One is wrong, 2 is also a wrong statement. That is why we come to the conclusion that option D is correct one. Neither 1 nor 2 statement is right. Question number 9. Consider the following statements. The executive power of the Union of India is vested in the Prime Minister. This is a very basic concept, as we have talked about recently, that executive power of the Union of India is vested in President of India. Okay, it is vested in President of India, not in the Prime Minister. That is why this statement is wrong. Article number 53, it says that executive power of the Union of India is vested in the President. Okay. Now statement number 2. The Prime Minister is the ex officio chairman of the Civil Services Board. In our syllabus, it has been mentioned that constitutional and non-constitutional bodies are important. Okay, and this, even though this body is less known, civil services body is less known, but still the question has been asked, and I will consider this question as a very difficult question, because we generally don't learn about these bodies. We learn only about those bodies which are mentioned in our Lakshmikant book. Okay, that is why this statement is a difficult one, and the correct answer is that Prime Minister is not the ex officio chairman, but Chief Secretary is the chairman of the Civil Services Board. Okay, that is why this statement is also wrong. Now, based on the discussion, we can say that option D is correct one. Neither statement number 1 nor statement 2 is right. Okay, the correct answer is D, neither 1 nor 2. Question number 10. Consider the following statements. The President shall make rules for the more convenient transaction of the business of the government and for the allocation among the ministers of the said business. So, President can make the rules for the better transaction of the business of the government. Business means governance part, how to govern the country. The President can make the rules. Okay. So, this statement is directly copied from the book. Verbatim, it has been copied verbatim. Statement number 2 is that all executive actions of the government of India shall be expressed to be taken in the name of the Prime Minister. Is it true? No, because Prime Minister is not the head of the state. Prime Minister is just the head of the government, and all the authority of the India has been vested in President, and all executive actions are taken in his name. All executive actions are taken in the name of the President. So the correct statement would have been President. That is why this statement is wrong. Now, as we can see, only option 1 or option A is correct. Statement 1 is correct. Okay friends, now let's move on. Question number 11. Okay. Which of the following are the discretionary powers? What they are asking about is discretionary powers given to the governor of a state. First statement is sending a report to the President of India for imposing the President's rule. You might be aware that the governor is appointed by the central government. and he has the responsibility of making sure that the government of the state functions properly, and for exercising his authority he can send reports on his discretion. On his discretion means he doesn't have to take permission from anyone, he can send the report on his own. And when it comes to when there are situations when president rule can be applied, and in those situations the governor can make a report and send it by himself, he doesn't have to take permission from the chief minister. Okay, so this statement is right. Now the statement number 2, appointing the ministers. Yes, it is true that the governor appoints the ministers, but he has to take the recommendation from the chief minister. That means chief minister will make the recommendation of which minister has to be appointed. But this is not a discretionary power. This is not a discretionary power of the governor. That is why this statement is wrong. Statement number 2 is wrong. Why? Even though it is true that he appoints the ministers, but he has no discretionary power. That means he cannot decide on his own that this person Mr. X has been appointed to Department of the Agriculture. He cannot do that because that's not his discretionary power. He has to take the recommendation from the chief minister. Okay. The third statement, reserving certain bills passed by the state legislature for consideration of the President of India. Yes, we just talked about how it is important to ensure that the state government functions properly. If there are certain bills or acts which can hamper or which can encroach upon the rights of people, minorities or tribals, then in that condition the governor can reserve certain bills for the consideration of the President of India. And in this case he doesn't have to take permission from the chief minister. He will not ask the chief minister if this report can be sent to the president or if this bill can be sent to the president for his consideration. He doesn't have to take the permission because this is his discretionary power. That is why this statement number 3 is right. Now fourth statement, making the rules to conduct the business of the state government. Making the rules, we just saw that president can make the rules for the better transaction of the central government's business, but in this case the governor doesn't have any power in the case of state governments. That is why this power is not his discretionary power, and this statement is wrong. Now first statement is right, second is wrong, third is right, fourth is wrong. And going by the options, we can see that option 1 and 3, options statements 1 and 3 is right. That is why option number 2, B, is right one. Okay friends, I hope you are getting it. Questions from polity part are easier, and if you want to clear the prelims, you cannot afford to lose marks in the polity section. Polity questions, most of the questions are asked from the textbook directly. If you revise the book at least 4 to 5 times, then you will be easily able to ace this part. That is why revise this part again and again. This is a very loyal subject and you will get good number. Okay. Question number 12. Which one of the following statements is correct? Option A. In India, the same person cannot be appointed as governor for 2 or more states. 2 or more states at the same time. If you look at this statement, this is a wrong statement because a common governor can be appointed for 2 states. For example, if there is no governor for Goa, the governor of Maharashtra state can be given the responsibility of the state of the Goa also. So this statement is wrong. That means option A is wrong. Second, the judges of the High Court of the states in India are appointed by the governor. Judges of the High Court are appointed by the governor. Is it true? The judges of the High Court of the states in India are appointed by the governor of the state, just as the judges of the Supreme Court are appointed by the president. In the center or high courts or Supreme Court, judges are generally appointed by the president based on the recommendation of the collegium. So currently there is a system of collegium, and the president has to abide by the decision of the collegium, and even the judges of the high court are appointed by the president, not the governor. Okay, judges of the high court are not appointed by the governor. That is why this statement is wrong. Option B is wrong. Okay. C. No procedure has been laid down in the Constitution of India for the removal of a governor from his or her post. No procedure has been mentioned. Yes, it is true that the governor can be removed by the president at any time because he doesn't have a fixed tenure. Okay, governor can be removed at any time by the president. Let's look at the option D. In the cases of a union territory having a legislative setup, the chief minister is appointed by the lieutenant governor on the basis of majority support. Even in the union territories with the legislative setup, the chief minister will be appointed by the president, not the lieutenant governor. Okay, he will be appointed by the president. Okay, so that is why this statement is wrong, and that is why our correct option is option C. Okay, no procedure has been mentioned in the Constitution regarding the removal of the governor. Okay friends, now question number 13. Who among the following constitutes the National Development Council? You might be aware that National Development Council was the advisory body to Planning Commission. It was the advisory body to Planning Commission, and after January 1st, 2015, Niti Aayog has replaced the Planning Commission. Niti Aayog has replaced the Planning Commission, and the role of National Development Council has been eliminated. But this question was asked. Why we are taking this question is because they can ask such a question regarding Niti Aayog also. That is why we are looking at this question. And if you are appearing for MPSC also, you can be asked the question on National Development Council. Even though this council is not scrapped, but after this date, January 1st, 2015, no meeting has been conducted for the National Development Council. The NDC has conducted no meeting after that. But let's look at the constitution of the NDC. Does it constitute Prime Minister? Yes. Then does it have the chairman of Finance Commission? No. Prime Minister is there, Finance Commission chairman is not there. Then ministers of the Union Cabinet all of them are there in the committee. Then chief ministers of the states are also there in the committee. So if you go by the statements and elimination method, you will find that only and only option B is correct. 1, 3 and 4 are right. NDC is not very important, but it can be asked in the state services. Okay, but when it comes to the UPSC Civil Services Prelims, they can ask questions on Niti Aayog. This data has been asked in the state services. Okay. Now question number 14. In the context of India, which of the following principles are implied institutionally in the parliamentary government? Now this is a very basic question. This is a theoretical question, and if you know the conceptual part of the parliamentary government, you will be easily able to answer this question. Members of the cabinet are members of the parliament. Members of the cabinet are members of the parliament. That means MPs, the cabinet members or ministers are also MPs. Yes, it's true, because ministers are chosen from the MPs themselves. The ruling party will choose MPs of its own party from the parliament. Okay. The second is ministers hold the office till they enjoy confidence of the parliament. Confidence, because this is a parliamentary democracy. We have adopted the parliamentary democracy based on the Britain's parliamentary system. Okay, so that is why ministers will lose the power or lose the office if they stop enjoying the confidence of the parliament. That is why this statement is right. Statement number 3. Cabinet is headed by the head of the state. Cabinet means Council of Ministers, and the core part of it is cabinet. Okay. Is it true that cabinet is headed by the head of the state? We just saw the head of the state, we imply about president. But in India, the president doesn't head the cabinet. That is why this statement is wrong. Cabinet is headed by the prime minister, and prime minister is the head of the government, not head of the state. Okay, cabinet is headed by the head of the government. Okay, that is why if you look at the statements, statement number 1 and 2 are right. That is why option A is correct one. Okay, question number 14, option A is correct one. Now question number 15. With reference to parliament, consider the following statements. The chairman and the deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha, chairman as well as the deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha are not the members of the house. Not the members of the house. Friends, you might be knowing that the vice president is the de facto chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, and he is not part of that house. Yes. What the statement is saying is chairman is not part of the Rajya Sabha. This is true. But deputy chairman is part of that Rajya Sabha, because deputy chairman is elected from the Rajya Sabha itself. That is why deputy chairman is part of the house, and statement 1 is wrong. Okay. Had it been that if they had asked only about the deputy chairman, this statement would have been correct one. Okay. Statement number 2. While the nominated members of the two houses of the parliament have no voting right, nominated members have no voting right in the presidential election. This is true. They have the right to vote election in the election of the vice president. Yes, this is right, because nominated members are not allowed to participate in the election of the president, but they can participate in the election of the vice president. Okay, so that is why this statement number 2 is right one, and going by the options, option B, only 2 is right. Okay, only 2 is right. Now question number 16. The Prime Minister of India at the time of his appointment, there are 4 options given, 4 statements are given, and we have to choose the correct option. Now the first statement is, they are asking about the Prime Minister and the appointment of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister need not necessarily be a member of one of the house. He doesn't have to be a member of the any house or parliament, but must become a member of one of the house within 6 months. So this statement is directly copy pasted from the textbooks. That is why this statement is right. That means Prime Minister doesn't have to be a member of the parliament. Even if he is not elected as a MP at the time of appointment, he can be appointed as the Prime Minister, but within 6 months he has to be a MP. For example, when Manmohan Singh was made the Prime Minister, he was not part of any house of the parliament. He was not part of the Lok Sabha, he was not part of the Rajya Sabha. When he was appointed as a Prime Minister, then within 6 months he was elected to the Rajya Sabha. Okay, he did not come to the Rajya Sabha by the electoral process. He was directly appointed in the Rajya Sabha, and that is how he became the Prime Minister. Okay, so the statement number A is right one. Let's look at the second statement also, just to make sure that we are not making any silly mistake here. Okay, statement number 2, what it says is the Prime Minister need not necessarily be a member of one of the house of the parliament. Up till now this is right, but must become a member of the Lok Sabha within 6 months. Not required to be a member of Lok Sabha. He can be member of any house. He can be member of any house. Okay, any house. Option C. That is why this statement is wrong. Okay. Option C says must be a member of one of the houses of the parliament. No, he doesn't have to be a member of any house at the time of appointment. Option D is must be a member of the Lok Sabha. No, not necessary. He doesn't have to be a member of any house at the time of appointment, but he should become a member of at least one house. At least one house means Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha within 6 months. That is why option A is the correct option. Okay. Question number 17. According to the Constitution of India, it is the duty of the President of India to cause to be laid before the Parliament which of the following? President's duty. They are asking about the President's duty. What reports are laid by the President in the Parliament? So there are some reports like recommendations of the Union Finance Commission. Yes, this is right. Then report of the Public Accounts Committee. No, Public Accounts Committee is already part of the Parliament and its report is not laid down in the Parliament by the President. Okay, so this second statement is wrong. Okay. Third, the report of the CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General. So the report of CAG is also put forth in the Parliament by the President. That is why third is right. Fourth, the report of the National Commission for the Scheduled Castes. Yes, the report of the National Commission for Scheduled Castes, National Commission for OBC and STs is also led by the President in the Parliament, and that is why 1, 3 and 4 are right. 1, 3 and 4 are right. That is why option C is the correct option. Okay friends, let's move on. Question number 18. When the annual union budget is not passed by the Lok Sabha, what will happen if any resolution, any bill or any financial statement like annual budget is not passed by the Lok Sabha? What does it show? It shows that the Lok Sabha doesn't have majority of the government. That means the government will lose the confidence of the Lok Sabha. Okay, it will put question mark on the confidence of Lok Sabha in the Council of Ministers. That is why what will happen then? The government will have to resign. Okay, so option A, what does it say? The budget is modified and presented again. No, it will not modify it, because if the Lok Sabha doesn't believe in the government, it will lead to the fall of the government. The budget is referred to the Rajya Sabha for suggestions. No, Rajya Sabha has very limited power regarding the union budget. Union Finance Minister is asked to resign. No, the whole Council of Ministers will resign. That is why the Prime Minister submits the resignation of Council of Ministers, because if union budget is not passed by the Lok Sabha, it shows the lack of majority of the government in the Lok Sabha, and that is why it will lead to the Prime Minister submitting the resignation of the whole Council of Ministers, and the government will fall. There will be re-election. Okay friends. Question number 19. It says the Supreme Court of India tenders advice to the President on a matter of law or fact. Supreme Court and its power to tender advice. Its power to tender advice. What is the article number? Article number 143, according to which the Supreme Court has the advisory jurisdiction and it can offer advice to the executive. But the advice will not be its own initiative. It will not be its own initiative. It can offer the advice only if the government or only if the President seeks such advice. Only if the President seeks such advice. So advisory jurisdiction happens only when he is approached by the President. Only if the matter relates to the fundamental rights of citizens. No, nothing like this. President can obtain the advice of the Supreme Court on any matter of law. Okay, that is why the statement number 3 is wrong, and the correct option will be option number B. Only statement number 2 is right. Okay friends, question number 19. Only if the President seeks advice from the President. Okay. Question number 20. Who of the following shall cause every recommendation made by the Finance Commission to be laid before each House of Parliament? Okay, who will do this? Who will get the recommendation from the Finance Commission and cause it to be laid before the Parliament? So it is the responsibility of the President of India. Okay, this is a very basic question, and according to the Article 280, it is the responsibility of the President of India to cause to be laid the recommendations to be laid before each House of Parliament. Okay, it is the responsibility of the President of India. In this way, friends, this was a very easy question. Okay, and with this question we'll stop here, and let's meet in the next session regarding next PYQs from another topic. Okay, see you friends, tata, bye bye.